Hey, this is Doug. Welcome to Utah. One of the questions I get asked a lot as a real estate agent, especially from people from outside the state, is what's the weather like? The perception is that Utah, we're snow covered. We're like Alaska. A couple of months out of the year that might be true, but the rest of the year not so much. So let's just kind of walk through where we're at. If you look right now, we're mid-September. The first day of fall is tomorrow. So we're right there, turning the corner. But you can see that everything's still green. Some of the leaves have started to change. If you kind of look down this direction a little bit, you can get some gold. And when those leaves start to change, it's beautiful. You get golds and yellows, and it's all based on the type of tree. But here in Utah, the weather really depends on the elevation that you're at. Usually the valleys were about 4,400 feet in elevation. That's different than 250 feet in Burbank. We're higher. So we get snow more weather. Here, you go up on the side of the hill, the benches is what they're called, whether that's Elk Ridge, Woodland Hills, whether that's Alpine or up in Draper and Sandy. When you get up on the benches, you're gonna get snow first. Typically here in Utah, and the running joke, and I think this is most states, but here in Utah, everybody says if you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes. Not quite that bad, but it can be. So as we walk through this, typically every fall, sometime in October-ish, we get a first snowfall. Usually toward the end of October, but we'll get a snowfall and then it melts off. From there, it stays, not bad. Sometimes it warms back up into November, and when I say warm up, it's 50, 60. Still need a jacket weather. And then winter really starts in usually about the middle part of December. It's really a rare winter when we don't have snow for Christmas. Those are rare. They do happen, but there you go. Usually the snow in December is wet, so it's heavier. It's got a lot of water content to it. And then we move forward. January is probably my least favorite month out of the year, because usually that's when we feel like Antarctica here in Utah. It's cold. The snow has no water content, so it's really light and airy and fluffy. Everything's just frozen for the most part. Again, every once in a while that changes. And then as we get into spring, spring usually starts in March, where everything starts to warm up, melts off, and it's always fun. With my 4 kids, all of them participated in high school track, which starts the 1st of March, and almost every one of them had to run in a snowstorm, do something like that the first part of March. So March is kind of in flux. You're coming out of winter, but it's still wet, it's still melting, there's still some rougher days. As we get into more into the spring is kind of, there's a variety. Sometimes it's wet, sometimes it's dry, sometimes we just end up kind of having a nice time with it. But usually April, May, once we get to the end of May, we start into June, we start seeing the temperatures go up in the summer. So June, July, August, most of the temperatures are going to be in there between 80 and 100 degrees, depending on, more in that 100 range into the July and August. As we get into July, every once in a while we get some monsoon moisture that comes through, where it rains and stuff that way. But Yeah, the weather here is very livable. But it does depend on elevation. So we'd love to have you here. Come enjoy all 4 seasons and not just one. So welcome to Utah. Welcome to my Utah.